Hello everybody, what's up? It's your boy, to my far pretty boy, coming at y'all with another video. Um well, I'm gonna get in straight into it with the if everybody heard, is all over the place, so everybody's talking about it. It's pretty much the interview with Iyanla and DMX, Fix My Life. And a lot of people, is like I said, everybody's talking about it, about pretty much how, you know what I mean, the whole interview was pretty much a setup, and how DMX was pretty much shout out. And to tell you the truth, I kind of agree, because sometimes, when you face with when you went 20 years plus more of facing those demons with a instinctive, vandicious, tremendous emotional, crazy darkness of drug abuse, it's almost like, you know what I mean, anytime somebody was to sit there and ask you every time, like, if you high, or anytime if you ever, because sometimes one thing about, you know what I mean, drug abusers, man, they always seem to feel as though they have it all figured out. How I know? Because, well, speaking of my background, is more so because my mother was a drug abuser for a very long time, and I noticed that every time when we would speak with her and try to talk to her, to try to get her to understand that, you know what I mean, like, she was losing out on so much. She was losing out on her health. She was losing out on her children. She was losing out on so much of her younger children that really loved her very dearly. She was losing out on pretty much living a good life with being clean. And it seems like every time we approached her about it, she got very defensive. She got very emotional. She got very whatever. Like, all in all, something what a drug abuser would do. And I can understand, I mean, like I said, I've been through it before, and I can understand exactly where DMX was feeling at the time. He more so felt as though he was being attacked instead of being, I mean, pretty much talking to, like really talking to, because the man has been through a whole lot. Whereas though, anytime you grow up as a kid and you have a mother that's pretty much straight up down straight, like, it's bad enough that dad is not there, but for your mother to sit there and, like, pretty much abandon you and left you off at his grandmother's doorstep, and just looked at him like, you know what, you ain't shit, you ain't never gonna be shit, you just pretty much a waste of life. Anytime right there, those words alone, mind you, those words alone can drive a man to pretty much not only follow those words, but pretty much follow him and haunt him for the rest of his days, no matter what he may do, whether he becomes a drug addict, a crack user, whatever. But in the process, I would like to say that DMX was blessed with a gift, and it was, which was through music. He was blessed through a gift through music, and of course, you know what I mean, the demons came along with the whole situation of his success. Because even before music, you know what I mean, he was constantly getting locked up. He constantly doing things, you know what I mean, that was out of pocket, you know what I mean, of course. But that's what every young person do, you know what I mean, that's trying to find their way. But he finally made it into the music industry. He finally grabbed hold to some success, you know what I mean, something that he been needing for the rest of his life, and something that brought him to happiness. So in the process, I'm not gonna go too far into these stories, y'all, so bear with me. I'm trying to make it short. Is that when he finally got hold, he met the woman that, you know what I mean, stuck by his side since childhood, or whatever the case may be, and they finally married. They had a child together, which is oldest son, I believe, which is Xavier. I'm not sure if they had more, but they finally had a son. And of course, along with the rap life, you know what I mean, brings on you know what I mean, everything. Everybody knows what comes with the being successful, like, you know what I mean, which is women, money, the drugs, everything. So in other words, you know what I mean, was pretty much sent. It was pretty much a blessing that was given from God, but also a freaking a waiting, where the devil was sitting right there, you know what I mean, pretty much to grab him right then and there when they grabbed him, and it did. In other words, he started doing things, you know what I mean, such as cheating with his woman, cheating on his woman, with various of women, because you hear it in his music, talking to you know what I mean, abandoning his kids, started going back to deeply into drugs again. And next thing you know, all through the years, you know what I mean, the last 10 years straight, he was, you know what I mean, he went from 1 minute to being successful, having good albums, being in good movies, so now here he is back to a drug abuser, from something that he was trying to get away from his whole life, and he did. And of course, unfortunately, you know what I mean, everybody knows that a good thing don't last long, especially if you still faced with demons, even if you do hold on to some success. But as we jump into the next part of the whole interview, is like, I really believe that Iyanla, I believe she pushed it a little too far. Instead of making him, and first things first, you know what I mean, when it comes to psychology, first of all, you want to get the person to understand. Make him understand, not to the point where as though you bash him, but make him understand and make him comfortable. Like, you know what? I was wrong. I made a mistake. Because then truly, I mean, as we all know, DMX, he's a very emotional guy. He's a very emotional guy. Even though he has a real tough, he may have a tough looking approach, but the dude is very emotional. So I'm pretty sure is that, you know what I mean, if you talk to him, got to know him, you can be you can be something of his life, you know what I mean, where you play the role and just be like, you know what, X, I know you going through this drug thing, you know what I mean? But at the same time, man, you ain't going through it alone. You know what I mean? If there's anything I can do, you know what I mean, you need somebody to talk to or anything like that, man. Something like that, you know what I mean, gives a person confidence. But not when somebody's constantly, they hear that you back on drugs and they probably pretty much call you up like, oh, nigga, I hear you back on drugs. Don't ever fucking call me again, man. Don't say nothing to me, man. Click. That pushes that person away and say, you know what, fuck the world, it's me, this crack, this pills, this weed, all that. Yeah, I mean, it's just me and that for here on out, since nobody gives a fuck about me. You understand what I'm saying? So y'all know where I'm going with this. So in other words, I like to think that that's exactly how it was been done to X. Like I said, pretty much the person that probably stick it in there with him, and she probably just got fed up with it too much, and was rightfully so, was his wife. Was that, I mean, she stood there, hung in there as best as she could to freaking help him. But of course, I mean, of course, he kept breaking her heart. More so, it was more so, I mean, with the women more than the drug, because she already knew that he was facing a drug habit. But, I mean, for the drug habit to continue to grow along with the women and the road and all that stuff, and not paying attention to the family, like he putting his family first, of course, it pushed her away. Now, and then another thing about the interview that I didn't like is that when Xavier and him begin to talk, I don't like the fact that, I mean, every time when DMX, it shouldn't have been where as though DMX was, it shouldn't have been a thing where Iyanla should have been in that entire conversation completely. I like to think, I mean, it should have been pretty much like, listen, I'm going to give you a chance to talk, Pop. Give me a chance to talk, and that's it. Not necessarily a mediator. Not where as though, I mean, oh, well, Xavier, tell your dad how did you felt about this, or tell me, in other words, you coaching him to say something, I mean, that he's been wanting to say. In other words, that's questions that's coming out of your mouth. It's pretty much, I mean, you want use his son as a freaking middle tool to say to him, so you can also get the same questions that he probably would want to know too. At the same time, Xavier probably didn't want to ask some of these questions. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but he wanted. But it was more so Iyanla also was asking, probably wanted to ask questions too, but she was using him as a middle to freaking ask his father. So I didn't like that part of the freaking whole thing. And like I said, and I'm going to say it one more time, when you approach a drug user, sometimes, you know what I mean, you can't approach them in an aggressive way. Because at the end of the day, they're going to shut down. They're going to shut themselves out. They're going to continue like as if you bashing them. And I'm pretty sure that whole situation with him and his son could have went a lot better if they more so was able to hear each other on and on. Like if it was like, listen, Dad, at the end of the day, I forgive you. You've been through a lot, as I see. Me and my mother been through a lot, as I see. But at the same time, Dad, regardless, I'm going to love you no matter what. And then on top of that, I do pray one day that I see you get clean. Not no freaking, oh, well, Dad, you have done this, you have done that, and I'm tired of it. In other words, I'm going to ultimatum this. We can never have a relationship. Like, some things like that, man, you got to remember, even though it's emotional, I understand you upset, but sometimes, you know what I mean, approaching a drug user, man, you got to be able to contain that anger. You got to be able to use it and internalize that all the way around, whereas though, I mean, it's not as if like I'm coming down on you. I want you to not only seek help, but I also understand where I'm coming from, you know what I mean, whereas though at the end of the day, I still love you regardless. So when it got down to the final part, whereas though, you know what I mean, whereas though when they finally had the last conversation where DMX just said, you know what, I'll see you at my funeral, and went to go give him a hug. And of course, the Xavier didn't want to give him a hug because it feels like, I mean, that's like pretty much like a shutdown, like as of like, you know, like, look, nigga, like, I know I fucked up and I don't like the situation I've been thrown in, but at the same time, it's like, you know what, man, I love you anyway, but I'll see you at my funeral, because at the end of the day, I feel as though you ain't gonna have no relationship with me regardless, because if I don't get myself clean, instead of you helping me the right way, then guess what? I'll see you at my funeral, bottom line. So, and then for Iyanla to get the hell up and say, you know what, don't you ever speak to me again, don't you ever talk to me again, that pretty much, like I said, it shuts them completely out. But the moral to the story is, you know what I mean, if you have family members or friends that are on drugs, try to give them the best help in the best way, and not be so way of, you know what I mean, pretty much bashing them. Because at the end of the day, it's the same way as, like, you know what I mean, when a reverend, when he's preaching the word of God, sometimes you can't throw certain things, like such as whether, you know what I mean, sexual orientation or sin or whatever. If you're gonna preach the word, because, you know what I mean, the word is the word, and then on top of that, you don't want to chase people from the church, because that's why a lot of people don't make it in church, because they got some preachers that know how to say or be able to channel, you know what I mean, the word, instead of just saying, you know what, y'all homosexuals, y'all ain't gonna this, y'all get where I'm coming from? So that's why I say it's better to, you know, channel it a little bit, bring it down, tone it down, whereas though, you know what I mean, you'll get a better audience and you'll get more people to look at you and understand it a little bit better. You feel what I'm saying? But in the meantime, you know what I mean, that's my time, y'all. It's your boy 215 Pretty Boy checking up out of here, you know what I mean? Last part, DMX, keep your head up, man. Maybe one day you'll be the man that you want to be, which is clean, drug free. All right, man. Salute to you, man. Later.